Ravi woke up every morning before sunrise, pulling on his worn-out shoes and heading to the marketplace where he'd spent most of his adult life. His small cart, filled with steaming cups of chai and freshly fried snacks, was his livelihood and his pride. Though business was tough, Ravi loved interacting with customers, sharing stories, and bringing a little joy to their busy days. Life wasn't easy for Ravi. He worked long hours under the scorching sun, earning just enough to feed his wife and 2 young children. Some nights, after closing his stall, he would sit quietly outside his tiny home, counting coins and wondering if they'd be able to afford school supplies for the kids next month. Yet, despite his struggles, Ravi had a heart full of kindness. He often noticed people in the market who looked hungry but couldn't afford a meal. Without hesitation, he would offer them a cup of tea or a plate of snacks. "No charge," he'd say with a smile. "Everyone deserves something warm in their belly." His wife sometimes teased him, saying, "How will we survive if you keep giving everything away?" But deep down, she admired his generosity. Ravi believed that helping others was its own reward, a lesson his father had taught him many years ago. One evening, as the sun began to set and the market grew quieter, Ravi started packing up his cart. That's when he noticed her, a young girl no older than 8, wandering aimlessly through the stalls. Her clothes were neat but dusty, and her eyes were wide with fear. Something about her tugged at Ravi's heart. Little did he know, this chance encounter would change both their lives forever. The girl stood near a fruit stall, clutching a small bag in her hands. She looked around nervously, as if searching for someone who wasn't there. Ravi hesitated for a moment, then approached her gently. "Are you okay, Beti?" he asked, using the affectionate term for daughter. The girl looked up at him, startled. I'm lost," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. Ravi crouched down to her level, his voice soft and reassuring. "Don't worry, we'll figure this out together. Have you eaten anything today?" She shook her head, and Ravi immediately turned back to his cart. He poured a cup of hot chai and placed a plate of crispy pakoras in front of her. "Here, eat. You'll feel better." At first, the girl hesitated, but hunger got the better of her. She sipped the tea gratefully, the warmth spreading through her tiny body. Between bites, she told Ravi what had happened. "I was with my grandmother and uncle," she explained. "We were shopping and I saw a toy stall. When I turned around, they were gone." Ravi nodded sympathetically. "It's a big market, easy to get separated. Do you know your address or phone number?" The girl shook her head again. "I only know my grandma calls me Anu." Ravi sighed, realizing she didn't have much information to go on. Still, he couldn't leave her alone. "Stay here with me," he said firmly. "I won't let anything happen to you." For the next hour, Ravi stayed by her side, keeping her calm and entertained with stories about his own childhood. Occasionally, he flagged down passers-by, asking if they'd seen anyone searching for a lost child. Finally, a group of security guards arrived, alerted by reports of a missing girl. They spoke briefly with Ravi, taking note of Anu's description, before escorting her away to reunite her with her family. As she left, Anu turned back to wave at Ravi. "Thank you, uncle," she said softly, her voice filled with gratitude. Ravi smiled, watching her disappear into the crowd. He hadn't thought much of his actions, it was simply the right thing to do. But unbeknownst to him, this small act of kindness would soon lead to something extraordinary. The next morning, Ravi returned to the marketplace as usual, setting up his cart and preparing for another long day. He didn't think much about the girl after she left. Life in the market moved quickly, and there was always work to be done. But later that afternoon, something unusual happened. A black sedan pulled up near his stall, drawing curious stares from passers-by. Out stepped 2 men in formal suits, followed by none other than the girl he'd helped the previous evening. She wore a bright smile as she ran toward him, waving enthusiastically. "Uncle, it's me, Anu," she called out, stopping just short of hugging him. Ravi blinked, momentarily stunned. "Anu? What are you doing here?" Before she could answer, an older man emerged from the car. His presence commanded attention. He carried himself with authority, his sharp suit and dignified demeanor marking him as someone important. As he approached, Ravi instinctively straightened up, unsure of what to expect. "This is my grandfather," Anu said proudly, gesturing to the man beside her. The older man extended his hand, his expression warm but serious. "Thank you for taking care of my granddaughter yesterday," he said, his voice steady and sincere. "You have no idea how much your kindness meant to us." Ravi shook his hand awkwardly, still confused. "It was nothing, sir. Anyone would have done the same." The man smiled faintly. "Not everyone would have stayed with her, ensured her safety, and fed her when she was hungry. That takes a special kind of person." It wasn't until one of the suited men referred to the older gentleman as Prime Minister Sahab that realization dawned on Ravi. His eyes widened in shock. This wasn't just any family, it was the Prime Minister of the country. And Anu wasn't just a lost girl. She was his granddaughter. For a moment, Ravi felt overwhelmed. How could someone like him, a humble street vendor, have crossed paths with such powerful people? Yet, despite the disparity in their worlds, the Prime Minister treated him with genuine respect and gratitude. "I want to repay your kindness," the Prime Minister continued, his tone firm yet kind. "Please, tell me what I can do to support you and your family." Ravi hesitated, unsure how to respond. He had never expected anything in return for helping Anu. It simply hadn't occurred to him. Finally, he spoke humbly. "Sir, I only did what anyone should have done. There's no need for repayment." But the Prime Minister insisted. "Your actions remind us of the values we often forget in our busy lives: compassion, selflessness, and humanity. Let me help you so you can continue spreading these values." Overwhelmed but grateful, Ravi nodded. Little did he know, this meeting would set off a chain of events that would transform not only his life but also the lives of those around him. The days following the Prime Minister's visit brought changes Ravi could never have anticipated. True to his word, the Prime Minister arranged for financial assistance to help Ravi expand his business. A new cart was delivered, a sleek, modern setup complete with a canopy to shield him from the sun and rain. It even had a small refrigerator to keep drinks cold, something Ravi had only dreamed of owning. But the support didn't stop there. The government provided training programs for local vendors, teaching them better business practices and hygiene standards. Ravi eagerly participated, soaking up every bit of knowledge he could. For the first time in years, he felt hopeful about the future. Not just for himself, but for others like him who struggled daily to make ends meet. Word of Ravi's story spread quickly through the media. News outlets highlighted how a simple act of kindness had caught the attention of the nation's leader, sparking conversations about compassion and humanity. People began flocking to Ravi's stall, not just to buy snacks and tea, but to meet the man whose generosity had inspired so many. One afternoon, as Ravi served chai to a group of customers, a woman approached him with tears in her eyes. "Your story gave me hope," she said softly. "I've been struggling too, but hearing about what you did reminded me that we can still find goodness in the world." Moments like these humbled Ravi deeply. He hadn't sought recognition or reward. He'd simply acted out of instinct, driven by the belief that everyone deserved kindness. Yet, seeing how his actions resonated with others filled him with a sense of purpose he'd never felt before. The Prime Minister continued to honor Ravi's gesture in meaningful ways. During a national address, he spoke about Ravi's selflessness, urging citizens to follow his example. "In a world increasingly divided by wealth and status," he said, "we must remember that true greatness lies in how we treat one another, especially those who need our help the most." Inspired by the Prime Minister's words, communities across the country began organizing acts of service. Schools encouraged students to volunteer at shelters, businesses donated resources to underserved areas, and individuals started small initiatives to uplift those around them. For Ravi, the greatest reward wasn't the money or fame. It was knowing that his kindness had sparked a movement. Strangers reached out to thank him, sharing stories of how they'd started helping others in their own lives. Teachers wrote letters saying they used his story to teach children about empathy and generosity. Despite all the attention, Ravi remained grounded. To him, nothing had changed about who he was. He still woke up early, worked long hours, and greeted customers with the same warm smile. But now, he carried an added sense of responsibility to continue being a light for others, no matter how small his flame might seem. Even Anu stayed in touch, sending occasional notes to update Ravi on her life. In one letter, she wrote, "You taught me that kindness doesn't depend on what you have. It depends on what's in your heart. Thank you for showing me that." Reading her words, Ravi felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His life may not have been perfect, but it was rich in ways that couldn't be measured by wealth or possessions. And though he never sought gratitude, he cherished the connections his kindness had created. Ravi's newfound opportunities allowed him to dream bigger, not just for himself, but for his entire community. With the Prime Minister's support and his own growing success, Ravi became a beacon of hope in the marketplace. He used his resources wisely, ensuring that his blessings reached those who needed them most. One of his first initiatives was setting up a fund to assist fellow street vendors. Many of them struggled with similar challenges: unstable income, lack of proper equipment, and limited access to training. Ravi partnered with local organizations to provide microloans, enabling vendors to upgrade their carts or purchase better supplies. He also organized workshops where experienced professionals taught skills like budgeting, customer service, and food safety. "Success isn't meant to be kept to yourself," Ravi often said during these sessions. "If we lift each other up, everyone benefits." His efforts inspired others to contribute as well. Wealthy merchants donated materials, while volunteers offered their time to mentor struggling vendors. Slowly but surely, the marketplace transformed into a thriving hub of collaboration and mutual support. Beyond the market, Ravi extended his generosity to nearby neighborhoods. He funded after-school programs for children, providing them with meals, tutoring, and recreational activities. For many families, these programs were a lifeline, allowing parents to work longer hours knowing their kids were safe and cared for. Teachers noticed a difference almost immediately. Students who once struggled with attendance and grades began showing improvement. Parents expressed gratitude, saying they finally had a place where their children could learn and grow without fear of hunger or neglect. Ravi also worked closely with local schools to promote values of kindness and empathy. He visited classrooms to share his story, emphasizing that even small acts of compassion could lead to big changes. "You don't need money or power to make a difference," he told the students. "All you need is a willing heart." The impact of his message rippled outward, touching lives far beyond the immediate community. Social media campaigns encouraged people to perform random acts of kindness, tagging their stories with hashtag #BeLikeRavi. From feeding stray animals to helping elderly neighbors with groceries, countless individuals embraced the spirit of generosity Ravi embodied. Local businesses joined the movement too, pledging portions of their profits to charitable causes. A popular cafe chain introduced a pay-it-forward program, allowing customers to buy meals for those in need. Within months, hundreds of free meals were distributed to homeless individuals and struggling families. Through it all, Ravi remained humble, deflecting praise whenever it came his way. "I'm not special," he'd say with a chuckle. "I'm just someone who believes in doing the right thing." Yet those around him knew better. Ravi's actions had sparked a cultural shift, a renewed focus on humanity and connection in a world often driven by materialism. His story proved that even the simplest gestures, offering food to a lost child or lending a hand to a neighbor, could create waves of positive change. As the years passed, Ravi watched his community flourish. Vendors who once barely scraped by now ran successful businesses. Children who attended his after-school programs graduated high school and pursued higher education. Neighbors who had once been strangers became friends, united by shared goals and values. For Ravi, this transformation was the greatest reward of all. Money and recognition paled in comparison to the joy of seeing others thrive because of something he'd started. Years later, Ravi sat on a bench near his stall, watching the bustling marketplace with a contented smile. The scene before him was unrecognizable from the struggling bazaar he once knew. Brightly painted carts lined the streets, each one a testament to hard work and collaboration. Laughter filled the air as vendors called out to customers, their voices carrying notes of pride and gratitude. Children ran past, clutching books and snacks provided by the programs Ravi had helped establish. Parents chatted nearby, sharing stories of how their lives had improved thanks to the community's collective efforts. It was a far cry from the days when despair and hardship dominated the area. Ravi often reflected on how much had changed since that fateful evening when he met Anu. Back then, he'd simply acted out of instinct, driven by compassion rather than expectation. He never imagined his small act of kindness would lead to such extraordinary outcomes, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. One day, as he served chai to a group of regular customers, one of them turned to him with admiration. "You've done so much for this place, Ravi," the man said. "How do you stay so humble?" Ravi laughed softly, pouring another cup of tea. "I didn't do anything special. I just did what anyone should have done." The real heroes are the people who took inspiration from that moment and started helping others themselves. His words carried weight. Across the country, Ravi's story continued to inspire acts of generosity and unity. Schools taught lessons about empathy using his example. Businesses adopted policies rooted in kindness and sustainability. Even politicians referenced his actions during speeches, urging citizens to prioritize humanity over profit. For Ravi, the legacy wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about proving that kindness transcends boundaries of wealth, status, and background. Whether it was feeding a lost child, supporting fellow vendors, or mentoring young students, every action mattered. As he looked around at the vibrant community he'd helped build, Ravi felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Life hadn't always been kind to him, yet he chose to respond with kindness anyway. And in doing so, he reminded the world of a timeless truth. Compassion is contagious, and its impact can last generations. Anu visited occasionally, now grown into a confident young woman pursuing a career in public service. During one visit, she hugged Ravi tightly, her eyes glistening with emotion. "You changed my life that day," she said. "But more importantly, you changed the way people think about kindness. Thank you for being you." Ravi patted her shoulder, his heart swelling with pride. "And thank you for reminding me why kindness matters," he replied. In the end, Ravi's story wasn't just about a street vendor and a lost girl. It was about the power of ordinary people to create extraordinary change. It was a reminder that no matter where you come from or what you have, your actions can leave a lasting mark on the world. So, let us all take a page from Ravi's book. Let us choose kindness over indifference, generosity over greed, and connection over division. Because in a world that often feels divided, even the smallest acts of love and compassion can light the way forward, for ourselves, our communities, and future generations. Ravi's story is a powerful reminder that kindness, no matter how small, can create ripples far beyond what we imagine. By feeding a lost girl and ensuring her safety, Ravi didn't just change her day. He sparked a chain reaction of generosity and goodwill that transformed an entire community. His actions remind us that compassion isn't defined by wealth or status. It's about seeing someone in need and choosing to help, even when you have little to give. This story shows us that everyone has the power to make a difference. You don't need money, fame, or special skills to change someone's life. All you need is a willingness to care. Whether it's offering food to someone who's hungry, listening to a friend going through a tough time, or simply smiling at a stranger, your actions matter more than you might realize. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever been on the receiving end of kindness? Maybe someone held the door open for you on a bad day, shared words of encouragement when you felt defeated, or helped you in ways big or small. How did it make you feel? Chances are, it gave you hope, strength, or a renewed sense of faith in humanity. Now, consider this. What if you were the one extending that same kindness to someone else? When Ravi fed Anu, he wasn't thinking about recognition or rewards. He acted because it was the right thing to do. Yet, his selflessness brought unexpected blessings, not just for him but for countless others. This proves that kindness isn't just about the immediate impact. It's about planting seeds that grow into something greater over time. Kindness builds connections. In a world where people often feel isolated or overlooked, acts of kindness remind us that we're all connected. Something as simple as lending a hand or saying, "I believe in you," can bridge gaps and bring people closer together. Small gestures create big change. Ravi's decision to help Anu seemed ordinary at first, but it led to extraordinary outcomes. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the potential to inspire others and create lasting change. Everyone deserves compassion. Anu wasn't judged by Ravi based on her appearance or circumstances. He saw her as a person in need and responded with empathy. When we treat others with dignity and respect, we create a culture of inclusivity and understanding. Kindness is contagious. Ravi's story inspired others to pay it forward, creating a ripple effect of positivity. When you choose kindness, you encourage those around you to do the same, amplifying its impact exponentially. So here's my challenge to you. Start today. Look for opportunities to spread kindness wherever you go. It could be helping a neighbor carry groceries, volunteering your time to mentor someone, or simply being present for a friend who needs support. These moments may seem small to you, but they can mean the world to someone else. Remember, you don't need grand gestures or elaborate plans to make a difference. All you need is a heart willing to care and a desire to uplift others. Will you step up and be the light someone needs today? Will you choose to believe in the power of kindness just as Ravi did? Because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for a reason to hope, and that reason could be you. Let's get started. One act of kindness, one word of encouragement, and one gesture of love at a time. Together, we can create a world where compassion reigns supreme, and everyone feels valued and seen. The choice is yours. What will you do today to make a difference?